Did Iran just name France as its first European target? In retaliation for the Israel war, that's the question. Now shaking diplomatic rooms from Paris to Washington, just hours after Iran's new President Masoud Pezeshkian sent a chilling message. To NATO, a wave of whispers started circling global intelligence circles. Was this a warning? A declaration? And what is even more shocking, why would Iran, locked in a conflict rooted deep in the Middle East, suddenly turn its attention to Europe tonight? We are breaking it all down. What exactly did Iran say? Is France now in the crosshairs? Is the world quietly inching toward a global escalation? But first, we need to rewind the tape. The build-up, the fuse is lit. This story begins in the middle of chaos. The Israel-Iran conflict, once lurking in shadows through covert drone attacks and proxy militias, has exploded into the open. And in the center of it all, a man the West did not see coming, Masoud Pezeshkian, a reformist, a wild card, now the new president of Iran. Within just 48 hours of his election, Pezeshkian dropped a geopolitical bombshell, not directed at Tel Aviv, not at Washington, but at Europeans. Foreign ministry released a cryptic statement accusing France of arming the occupation, citing its support for Israeli surveillance and defense technology. But here's where things turn cold. It was not just an accusation, it was a warning. The conflict, France in the crosshairs, according to reports inside Iran's intelligence community. A classified file was submitted just days ago. It labeled France as strategically vulnerable. Why? Because of its NATO command posts, its air bases, and its military support for Israeli cyber systems. Then came a live televised speech from Pezeshkian himself, and this line sent chills through diplomatic circles. Those who lend arms to murderers shall be held responsible regardless of continent or alliance. He did not name names, but he named the tone. Now multiple Western analysts believe France has been quietly put on notice. Remember, France hosts U.S. nuclear weapons. It leads key NATO operations in Africa, and it has openly backed Israel since October. So the question becomes, is Iran using strategic ambiguity to test NATO's red line? Some insiders now suggest Iranian cyber units likely tied to the IRGC have already mapped out key French infrastructure. If that is truth, then this is not just a warning, it might be a checkmate. Set up. The fallout is NATO being tested. Here's the real danger. Iran does not have to launch missiles to trigger chaos. One cyber attack on a French power grid, one Hezbollah-linked operation in European naval threat in the Mediterranean, and NATO is obligated to respond. And that is the nightmare scenario for Western diplomats, because the minute NATO responds, this war stops being regional and becomes global. It is not just Israel versus Iran anymore. It's Iran versus the West. French President Macron has already called for emergency security meetings. President Biden has reiterated America's Article 5 commitment. And yet Pezeshkian, he is staying calm, measured. Playing his hand like a chess master. No formal threat, no explicit strike, just one unspoken message. Here is off limits. This is just the beginning. So is France really Iran's first European target? Is this part of a deeper game of psychological where meant to crack NATO from within? What we know for sure is this story is not over. And if you want to understand what happens if Iran actually makes a move, how the US, NATO, and Israel might strike back, tap into our next breakdown, how the US could respond if Iran strikes NATO in Europe. Hit like, smash subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments, because what started in the Middle East may now be heading west.